For more analysis, let's speak to Professor Danny Quah, Director of the Southeast Asia Centre at the London School of Economics, who's here in the studio with me. Danny, thanks so much for joining us. We've just been seeing and hearing about all these debates that are taking place. But if this bill doesn't pass, do you think that China will follow through with threats that there may never be any real democracy in Hong Kong if they don't agree to this?
China has not spoken definitively at all on what it will do if the bill does not pass. But in a sense, democracy has already lost if the reform bill is rejected. On surface, at least, this reform bill would have given 5 million people in Hong Kong the right to vote. Yes, the catch is direct nomination would not be possible. There would be pre-selection by a selection committee of the up to 3 candidates. And that's the critical point, this inability to directly nominate.
And because of this part of the proposal and part of the condition is that it's vetted by Beijing.
Well, the current system, which is what we will lapse to if the electoral reform bill is rejected, also has the selection of its chief executive vetted by the same 1,200-member committee. So it is not the case that if we reject this bill, we're on a clear pathway towards ever more democracy from Hong Kong. In fact, on paper, we get less. So what the pan-democracy movement has to rely on is that over the longer term, we will be able to move towards greater democracy, because in the short term, they're in a no-win situation.
And it's really divided the society in Hong Kong, literally down the line. It's 50% more or less for and 50% against.
Yes, but at this point also, the Parliament, the Legislative Council, it requires approval of 2/3 of the Legislative Council to get this reform bill to pass. 27 of these lawmakers have come out as being against the reform bill, these 27 pro-democracy lawmakers. So it's extremely unlikely that it will pass. The fracture within Hong Kong society is the perception that the selection of these candidates for chief executives proposed, as well as selection of chief executives in the past, has been crafted by Beijing in a way that advantages itself. The truth of it is advantages the business community, and it disadvantages the middle class and ordinary, hardworking Hong Kongers.
Well, as we know, for months people were protesting, pushing for pro-democracy. Is democracy the answer, though?
Well, this is a really difficult question. The complaints by the Hong Kongers, by the pan-democracy movement, are entirely legitimate. They're worried about the instability of the economy. They're worried about job security low and worsening. They're worried about up to 40% of the old population living in poverty, inequality high, and getting even worse. The question that needs to be asked is, will direct nomination of the chief executive solve these problems? In a sense, Beijing is offering Hong Kong democracy. It is offering Hong Kong universal suffrage. It's that last step that the pan-democracy movement believes will not achieve the true democracy, the genuine universal suffrage that they want. Whether this will work, we need to ask ourselves, we look around the world. You and I are lucky enough to live in a society that is a true parliamentary democracy. Do we not have problems of inequality, poverty, inequality rising because of escalating house prices? We have all of these problems. And there are societies that in many people's eyes don't have genuine democracy, but for which these problems are muted. I think the evidence is mixed on this. And Hong Kongers really need to ask themselves some very hard questions. What is it that they want?
Danny Quah, thank you so much for coming in. And of course, the debate doesn't end here. We're likely to see this continue until tomorrow or Friday, until a decision has been made. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you very much.